Hello, this is David McElroy for Designing Success Strategies, the complete business course in how you can take your business from where it is to the next level. In this era of high tech, it's easy to imagine that if we just run ads and sit back that we could have an endless stream of business. And although online marketing is a very useful part of any business plan, and although marketing is 50% at least of how your business will be successful, if we look at examples of highly skilled people with multiple degrees not able to find work or make a living, what that example tells us is skill and credentials alone will not put you in a position to have a job or have a company with business. So the focus of today's module, High Income Networking, is how to use some old style roll up your sleeves and meet the right people marketing to build a huge business in a relatively short amount of time. I would suggest that the period of time to do this successfully with the largest fruits is probably 12 to 24 months. It may bear fruit earlier than that for some. It depends upon your strategic position at this time. Those people that you already know that are affluent and have influence, that you can start to bridge your campaign. But don't worry. If you are not affluent or are not in the market of influent or do not know affluent people, then what I'm going to suggest to you is this module is perfect for you. High income networking, leveraging niche markets. Niche targeting, going deep, providing value, gaining endorsements, and then getting referrals. Profile of American millionaires. I want to share this with you to clear out any cobwebs you may have in your mind about what wealthy people look like. I think we have an impression for what we see on television that millionaires are all flamboyant people that drive Maseratis and live in $5 or $50 million houses. Let's take a look and see if the facts support that. 20% of households in America are millionaires. 80% of those households are self-employed. Makes a powerful statement about what self-employment in small business means to the economy. They control 2/3 of the wealth in the nation. These are people you want as your customers and clients. Profile of a millionaire. They could live 10 years on assets alone. With no income coming in from their business, they could live on their assets alone for 10 years. They save 15 to 20% of their income per month. Favored vehicle, one of the top, is a F-150 Ford pickup truck. Common for them to drive vehicles that are 10 years old, made in the U.S. 95% are married and never divorced. Those of you that have experienced divorce realize it can be an expensive proposition. Those people that have experienced multiple divorces realize that it's an expensive thing to have happen. The idea of building wealth, one of the core tenets, is to never lose principal and to accumulate an asset base and a consistent compounding of return on that asset base to develop wealth. They've occupied the same home for 10 years or more. And here's something that may shock many of you. The average value of that home is $350,000. Now, the real estate market has gone up and down significantly over the course of the last decade, but I would put to you that digging deeper in research, it could be anywhere from, let's say, $350,000 to $500,000. Does that mean that millionaires and ultra-rich don't own multi-million-dollar houses? That's not what I'm suggesting. What we're doing in this plan is a study that's going to remove luck from your marketing and your business plan and put statistical certainty where it belongs so you can grow your business. What are their spending habits? They are very frugal. So although you may imagine the wealthy as those people with a flashy lifestyle, and there are those that have that, if we look at the preponderance of style of spending, they're frugal. They control their spending on consumer goods and don't make purchases capriciously. The spouse is exceedingly frugal. In fact, I was speaking with one of the wealthy people that I know who indicated his spouse was more frugal than he. And when he would suggest that they could do something or have something, she'd say, well, you know, we don't really need that, or what we have is good enough. The reason that's an important attribute is instead of spending money on things that depreciate, break, and wear out, these couples, if it is a couple, or these individuals, if they are single, invest their money and build an asset that will generate income even when they're not working. Tightly controlled domestic spending. They don't waste money. They budget and they plan. They control conspicuous consumption. They don't do impulse buying. Here's something interesting. Most of them spend less than $250 on a wristwatch. Many of them, or most of them, buy off-the-rack department store suits, often on sale, usually on sale, costing between $200 and $300. And there are now high-class resale shops that sell very expensive clothing that cost $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 for a suit that's hardly worn, that you can buy for a fraction of that and still have it be in style if you buy traditional cuts. Seldom do they spend more than $100 to $140 on a pair of shoes, or in this case, on one shoe. I guess they probably need both of them, huh? They spend little on travel. When they do travel, they do it prudently. They usually don't fly first class. Does that mean that wealthy people never fly first class or never take lavish vacations? No, it's not what I'm suggesting. As we study wealthy, we will find that they do have areas of spending that may be more extravagant based on something that's important to them. For some, it's travel. Seldom do they buy new. They carry no credit card balances. Goals. Clearly defined written goals. They don't capriciously wake and wander to the emotion of the day. They have goals that are daily, they have weekly, monthly, annually, and lifetime planned out every step of the way of what they plan to do. What are their investing habits? They invest in what they know. They don't invest in what they heard down at the country club or golf club or some other person that they do business with about a hot tip. They invest in what they understand. Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest men in the world, indicates that he did not invest in Microsoft. Why not? He said because, quite frankly, he didn't understand it. Does that mean Microsoft wasn't a good investment? Well, of course it was. But what Warren Buffett says is he invests in what he knows, not to sell it, but to acquire it for long-term appreciation. It's often in fields related to their experience. So if they're in the construction business or the real estate business, they may invest in real estate. It's important for these people to invest in what they understand. Do they still get input and advice from others? Of course they do. But they measure that input or advice against what they know so they can make informed decisions. And they buy assets that appreciate in value. Cars don't go up in value. Well, you can say certain collector cars do, but what we're talking about is a collector car is not for transportation. You don't drive that around and put miles on it. That's something that you collect because you appreciate it and you like it, like you would with art. Assets? They could live off their assets alone. In the example before, I said for 10 years or longer without additional income. They like tax-free municipal bonds. And they measure success by net worth. This is important. If you are measuring your success by the representation that you give others, like by buying and driving a brand new flashy car, or living in a part of town that requires a significant portion of every nickel you earn per month just to survive and pay that house payment in taxes. And then if you live in that particular neighborhood, you're probably going to have to keep up with the Joneses, which is going to require additional spending. So they measure their success not by those external outcroppings, but by the increase of their net worth, by the increase of those assets that accumulate so that they're building wealth. They are also excellent stewards of wealth. If you are not responsible with your wealth, if you are not a good steward, what will happen is it will slip through your fingers. That's why you see examples of people that get large amounts of wealth and then go broke. Also, I would put to you, if you do not earn your wealth and respect it, you can lose it. It's very common known fact that 80% of all lottery winners, if they get a lump sum rather than an annuity, are broke within 36 months and often bankrupt. And even those that do get an annuity, you know that you can sell an annuity for a discount for cash. Again, that cash is spent and amounts beyond anything that could have previously been imagined. They end up with nothing. Often happens to professional athletes and rock stars. I'm not suggesting that those people don't earn their money. But when that wealth comes to them in lump sums over a short period of time and they haven't learned how to be stewards of wealth, that wealth can slip through their fingers and they can end up broke. Niche targeting. Where is the wealth in your community? What are the top industries in your market? What is reported in the industry-specific news? What are their top trade organizations? And who are the top influencers? Let's take a look and find out. Let's look at our market here in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. This is just one example of one market in the entire United States. The market in which you are located will dictate which industries you want to focus on as you go down this path of networking for high income. Top industries in Dallas, Texas? Here's a search right out of Google. Major industries are commercial activities. It says telecom is huge in Texas. Real estate, tourism. Let's take a closer look. Dallas boasts a broadly based diverse business climate with technology industries in the lead. Major industries include defense, financial services. I put that in red because I've had 30 years in mortgage banking and real estate. Financial services are huge here in Texas and in Dallas-Fort Worth. A great market to focus if you live here in this area. Information technology and life sciences, semiconductors, telecommunications, transportation, data processing. Dubbed the Silicon Prairie, Dallas is among the largest employment centers for high technology in the country. A center for telecommunication manufacturing and employment in the United States. The telecom corridor is in Richardson, which is a northern suburb of Dallas, just as you come out of Dallas going north. The nickname of this region profiles telecommunication companies in a small section of the community. And it's here's a direction of where it is on 75, 635. These are major highways. Here's some of the companies there. Nortel, Ericsson, Alcatel, Southwestern Bell, and other telecom companies. Of course, no matter where you live in the United States, you probably have heard of all of these. Real estate and tourism are other major industries in this sector. So it's important to find out where the money is in your area. I read a book, and it was talking about doing network person-to-person building of your business. And there was a gentleman in Georgia who found that the key industry in his state was forestry. So he subscribed to a forestry trade magazine. And in that magazine, he found out that families owned the forestry, the tree farms, and he built a huge business with the strategies we're going to teach you here in that niche. You can get information from your Chamber of Commerce. 43% of the state's high-tech workers are right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So would it pay for someone that wanted to get into where the money is to cater to that group? Absolutely. 13 privately held companies with at least $1 billion in annual revenues are headquartered in this area. 19 Fortune 500 companies are headquartered in the area. Here's some examples. Advanced PCS, Dean Foods, ExxonMobil, Kimberly-Clark, Neiman Marcus, Southwest Airlines, Texas Instruments. Here's some trademarks from some of those companies right here in Dallas-Fort Worth. There is so much information that you can gather. The question not is the information available, but how do you gather it, organize it, and then laser down your target to specific people after you get into an industry and network out from that industry. The more specific your target when you start, the greater the expertise you build in that target area. So you are perceived as an expert by those people in that area, the greater the success you're going to have in building relationships with these people because you're going to understand their needs. Here are the 5 Texas-based financial firms: USAA, Alliance Data, Torchmark, American National, and Co-America Bank. Let's take a look at the breakdown in this sector, the Texas financial service employment. See over on the right there in blue, banks, saving institutions, credit unions, huge opportunity there. And as we dig deeper into this, you're going to realize that business owners are in need of all sorts of financing. If you were to connect yourself with people in positions to approve financing, you can be solutions to your potential customers, and you can earn their respect and have them look to you as a solution provider rather than just someone that is in your particular service business. A decade of growth. 557,000 jobs have been added in Texas over the last 10 years. More than any other state in the union. Hey, don't feel bad if you're in other states. Opportunities are so huge that one person could never get to all of them in any state, regardless of the growth that they're in. I only show you Texas as an example of the research that I've done in developing this high-income networking idea and making it a deployable practice that you can use to build your business. Automotive sales finance, that's a huge one here. I used to be the new car manager of Westway Ford back in about 1983, somewhere around in that range here in Texas. And the owner of that has gone on to become a multi-millionaire owning the automobile dealership. Well, financing automobiles is a huge business. Real estate lending, also huge. I've made a fortune in mortgage banking over the years. Consumer finance, financing things other than houses like furniture and other sorts of things. GE Money Bank is a perfect example of that. And that's just one of many that are out there. So let's just continue down this experiment. Remember, this is not suggesting that you follow this specific path, but that you follow the model that I'm laying out here to find the industries you would want to pursue in your area. It's also worthy of mentioning that of all the choices you have, pursue those industries that interest you. If you have a background or a history in some of those areas so that you can relate better to those professionals and owners in that area, then I would suggest to you that you pursue that opportunity and refresh your detail of that market so that you can relate to the people in those markets. This is all about relationships. Here's that search. Texas Automobiles Dealers Association is number 1, NADA. Texas Independent Automobile Dealers Association. And these are just the top 3. Texas Independent Automobile Dealers. Let's run one on national banking trade associations. Let's take a look at who those might be. What I'm suggesting to you is we are in the information gathering portion of our task, where we want to decide who we're going to pursue and who are the influencers in these industries. Let's go on. Here's some trade organizations. Now, there's a lot of powerful information you can get from trade organizations, because those that read their trade journals in these organizations will help you zero down to those targets. Here is a site that gives you a list of associations. By clicking on any one of these links, you can get greater detail about that association. I would suggest that you look at a number of associations in the niche that you decide to target, and that of those you find out which are most widely subscribed to by people in your area. How do you find that out? You call some of the movers and shakers that you find in your research, and you ask them right straight up, what trade associations do you belong to, and what trade journals do you subscribe to? And as you do this, you find out what's important to the people in these areas. Here's one, the Financial Services Roundtable. It's one example of one organization in the banking industry. Here's a list of what it is that they offer. You can read through that, and you can decide if what they're offering is of interest to you. But more important than that, they are writing what's here to appeal to the people in this niche or this target. This is giving you important data research information about the niche that you're pursuing. The better you understand them, the better you relate to them, the better you'll do by serving them. You want to find out as you speak with these people, what are the pressing issues of the day? For some, it might be government regulations. For others, it might be taxes. It might be a combination of both. It might be employment. And how do you find out what these pressing issues are? Well, of course, you ask them. But as you look through the articles written in these trade journals, as you get down to really looking at the news from these niches, and the reason it's important to look elsewhere than the Wall Street Journal or the national papers is that you want to get to where these articles come out first and are noticed first, where you can notice them ahead of everybody else. Who are the leaders in the industry? You can find out who the leaders are by who the articles are written about. And who supplies these leaders? This is also important, because successful businesses, where the money is, are subscribed to or served by successful suppliers. For example, I know some people in the construction business. Well, they buy sheetrock. Well, the successful people in the construction business buy sheetrock from successful suppliers. You want to find out who those suppliers are and network through those suppliers and build as you go. And then who are the suppliers to the suppliers? You see, once you get started on this, it's an endless journey of fun and discovery. This is like so old-fashioned, and yet it's cutting edge, because quite frankly, almost no one is doing it. If you can find something that's effective that almost no one is doing, think how powerful that will be. And I'm going to share some information with you that will be startling as you go through this course. So you want to ask them a simple question like, what do you do? And how did you select your current suppliers? And do you need more customers? You know, some people might surprise you and say no, but find out. What concerns you about your industry? They're going to tell you what concerns them. Who knows better than those people in the industry? And the more of them that you talk to, the more intel that you have, the better you'll be at digging and answering questions. What are you doing about that? What solutions do they see on the horizon? It's going to give you insights into where they're going and what they think. What are the hot topics? Well, you're going to find that, of course, in the national news. You probably find it by doing internet searches, but you're also going to find it by the types of articles that are in their trade magazines. And once you dig into this wealth of information in the trade magazines, there's incredible things that can take place. You can see who's advertising in there. You can see who's received awards. You can see who has had articles written about them. You can see who's published articles. The opportunities are astronomical. Let your imagination run. Interviewing key leaders is a big one. When I had one of my mortgage companies, it was difficult for the loan officers to get the attention of realtors because, of course, all successful realtors already had loan officers at mortgage lenders or they wouldn't be closing deals. And what I taught them to do was contact top producing realtors, and rather than ask them, can I give you good service at a better price and better turnaround and be your loan officer, I suggested that they interview them on how they got successful. And every one of them that followed what I suggested had appointment after appointment of successful realtors, and they got a chance to get inside their head and found out what their pressing issues were and build a contact list which developed into business over time. Here's a Google search on pressing issues. Current issues. Latest fund manager news from the financial news. So you can put in what the pressing issues are. Just do a blatant search for that. So it's a combination of pre-research through the internet, through reading articles, but you couple that with talking to people. The reason it's so important to talk to people, even though you could find out all the same things with never talking to anybody, is what we're looking for is an excuse. An excuse to contact highly placed, successful people in our target industry and to talk with those people about what they're interested in and give us an opportunity to build a relationship. To show them that we care and are interested in them is the first step in this process. To show them that we want to do for them first before we concern ourselves with what we want. Dallas Business Journal is a popular journal here in this local market, a lot of powerful information. I wouldn't use that only though, because everybody sees the Dallas Business Journal, or a large group do. If you get into the trade journals, very few people offering what you have will see that, if any, and even a smaller subset of those that see it will actually do what we're talking about here. Here's a research article, or here is research that was done on the internet of some prominent people here that received awards from the Dallas Business Journal, or were mentioned in the Dallas Business Journal. So let's take a look. Let's look at this guy down here. So here's a little snippet about him, his accomplishments. Do you think that it might be impressive to him if you sent him a letter congratulating him on his accomplishment? Even though he's one of the top people in his field, do you think he'd be bothered by a letter coming into him congratulating him on his success? There's some other really cool things you can do that nobody else will be doing that will make you stand apart from everyone else in your industry. And we're going to talk about that as we go on. So you research Jack. You discover with whom his company does business. You contact the top suppliers used by his firm. You start a relationship. You ask them questions. You get to know those key suppliers well. Discover what types of business they'd like to increase. Keep notes. Be comfortable with taking notes. You can ask them, do you mind if I write some notes down? I want to make sure I get this right. Request a promotion kit about their business. Why? Because you want a bio about them, a promotion kit that they use to promote their business, and some of their business cards. Because as you begin to build these networking relationships, once you have assured yourself that these are quality providers of goods and services so that you would look well by referring them, we want to make sure that you have a method by which you can refer them. Here's an old Rolodex. Some of you that are not as old as me might not recognize this beast anymore, but before we had the database, electronic databases we have, this was the way that you kept track of your business contacts. Build a database network of all the key players. You might keep this in Outlook or ACT or any of the various database management tools out there. Makes it a lot easier to query and keep track of it. Be patient. It takes time to build trust. You provide value first. You allow people to see that you are there for the long haul. You focus on their wants and needs, and over time you build a relationship. Invest your time wisely. Check to see that you're investing in those people. Be disciplined to do so. Do it every day. You create credibility by deepening your knowledge in an area. It's not so that you can go in and tell these people everything you know about their industry. It's so that you can listen knowledgeably about the things they're stating and ask them intelligent questions. And if they ask you questions about your business, you'll be able to answer those questions as they relate to their business. You can learn to speak on important trade-specific topics as you become an expert in that area. If you're not a public speaker or don't wish to become an expert in that area, that's okay. I can tell you in this course how to deal with that. Publish articles on hot topics in trade publications. I was doing a lot of loss mitigation short sale work in one of my mortgage companies. Short sales are the liquidation of distressed property. And I was invited to be an instructor to attorneys in the continuing education process through some online training. In fact, I did some of it live right here in the Dallas market for attorneys. And through that association or that exposure, I was offered an opportunity to write an article for a law school in New York. Well, a law school in New York is going to want citings in the article, and they're going to want to have it written like an attorney would write it. And I am not skilled in that style of writing. So I did research, and I hired an attorney through an online source that wrote the article for me. I took the articles that were written and sent them to the publisher of the law school, and they gave me edits they wanted done, which I took back to the ghostwriter I hired. And by the time I was done, I was published in a law review in a New York University Law School magazine, which continued to give me credibility. So this can be done. Whether you're an expert in an area or not is unimportant. What's important is you can outsource what you don't do. Start thinking of yourself as a power broker. Start thinking of yourself as the center of relationships and networks that bring people together for their mutual benefit. You can always find the talent you don't have or the skills you are missing. What if you're not a speaker? Network through the industry. Build relationships with experts that do speak. Often salespeople in these industries are going to be excellent speakers. And offer them an opportunity for business networking. There are so many networking events around town, and I've gone to many of them. But I got to be frank with you, most of them are a waste of time. They're peopled with people that do not have influence, that do not have contacts, and that are desperately looking for someone to give them something. That's not an environment where you can build a prosperous business. I suggest that you go to where everyone else isn't, and that's what this course is about. It's to teach you how to use an old style of relationship selling to build a huge business while others fight for scraps in unproductive methods. As we mentioned before, bios are powerful. If you have a bio about someone that speaks and you are looking for speakers and you've got this stored in a database, you can quickly go to that and say, oh, Dave McElroy, I see you're in mortgage banking. I need a speaker for this event, talking to insurance agents or whatever the case would be, and I want to see that you will be able to speak for them. So let me take that, which of course gives me exposure. Everybody wins. Getting published. What if you're not a writer? Well, I just described to you what I did. Odesk, you can hire writers there. Elance, you can hire writers there. Freelancer, these are just 3 examples of where you can go online, where you can find people who do all sorts of outsources, writing being one of them. And you can find people with incredible credentials that for a very affordable fee will write articles for you at a very high standard on subjects that you either supply them the research or they'll even do the research for you. Get referrals. Here's just an interesting thing. This is one of the things I taught my loan officers when they worked for me at one of my mortgage companies. When they would get out and interview these realtors in that process that I described, I'd have them ask in that process, I'm just curious, who do you use for your mortgage referrals? And they would tell them. And they'd say, hey, I'm just curious, does your current loan officer still return your calls as quick as they used to? Oh, really? Well, they probably do, but Anyway, and oh, by the way, do they give you referrals? Do they bring you clients that you can sell real estate to or list their homes? Oh, I'm just curious. What you're doing is you're setting the seeds of curiosity in your prospect's mind. And since what we're talking about is building a network of people that will refer business to one another, high-end influential people, you're going to be in a position to bring business to these referral partners. And the more you facilitate that business, the more respect they're going to have for you because you are solving their needs and problems, not just putting your hands out saying me, me, me. Form an advisory council and recruit members. This is powerful. Mastermind is one of the huge tenets of becoming successful in any field or any business. And forming an advisory council to deal with issues of the day for organizations you put together allows you to bring people together to discuss those issues, build relationships with those people, and approach them from an angle where no one else is. To get yourself away from the crowd, out from the din, rise above the noise, and be recognized, you have to spend some time up front to build these quality of relationships. Target fundraisers. You know, who would have ever thought of somebody that is constantly tasked with raising funds? Who are they going to be calling on? People with money. Do you think if it were possible for you to help them raise funds for their organizations, that it would put you in with the right people and allow you to build relationships with people that buy the things that you offer and sell? Of course it will. What industries do they target? Do they take actions to improve sales productivity? These are questions I'm suggesting that you ask these potential referral partners and target clients when you're building these relationships. Find out what industries they target so you'll know what industries you can target in addition to theirs. Find out what they're doing to improve the sales of their organization. Find out what's missing. Find out ways you can help them improve that. Notice something good about their business. Notice an award that they got. Notice a contract that they received, and go out of your way to congratulate them or compliment them. One of the examples in one of the books I read, there was a salesman, I think of financial services, and he was driving and he noticed the trucks of one particular company were extremely well groomed, really nice looking, clean, never dirty. And he contacted the owner of the company and commented on how impressed he was with how nice looking their trucks were on the road. It had ended up opening the door for a relationship that turned into business. Contact major hotels. Who would have thought of this? This is a huge one. What do they have at hotels? Ask them for a list of affinity groups holding events there. Contact the event coordinator of that affinity group, or affiliate of that affinity group. What's that going to do for you? It's going to allow you to tap into your specific target with events that are going to occur in your area with people that have the niche or are in the niche where you want to do business. You may decide you want to have a booth at that trade show. Let's find out. Avoid the me contact. This is what most salespeople do. I want to sell you something. Do you want to buy it now? Not very interesting, and it's why cold calling doesn't really work anymore. Start a lending library for millionaires. I have got probably 30 books that I've acquired just over this last 6 months as I've been writing Designing Success Strategies. And I have got these books, and I have been starting to lend them out to other successful people I know that after I tell them about it, they express an interest in wanting to read the same publications. So I have now made it a practice of lending these books out to them, and I suggest that you do the same thing. Attend trade shows. Having a booth at the right trade show, if indeed you understand your target, can speak to their specific issues while you are there, can put you in a position to meet literally hundreds of people in your target niche all at one time, something that would have otherwise, one at a time, taken you years to do. You want to find out who's their law firm, their accounting firm, their PR firm, etc. Always be gathering information. Always find out what they think of them. Always find out how they got that relationship. The reason that's important to you is the more you understand a person's patterns, what I can tell you is this: people are creatures of habits. They will recreate that pattern. If you understand that pattern and this party is worth pursuing, you can reproduce that pattern in their strategy of picking you as someone with whom to do business. Then start hiring who they use. If you now need an accountant and didn't have one, or a CPA and didn't have one, or need to replace one because yours is retired or moved away, hire one that is used by someone that you've prospected, who they received or you got from them a high review. And then, of course, call on them and build a network with them. Who do they use for a PR firm, law firm, CPA? Deal with service providers that are the best. We're not just talking about loosely and carelessly referring people out in hopes that you'll get a referral back. We're talking about doing the work for your contact, where you have already done the work ahead of time. You have already sifted through the population of possibilities, and you have brought to them a subset of all possibilities with someone that's already recommended by someone in your group. You're saving them a lot of time and a lot of heartache and allowing them to avoid going through bad choices. And focus on those that are predisposed to referring. Referring is a habit. Not all people will refer. Your goal is to focus on building networking organizations with people that are inclined to refer. The point of building the organization is to move further and further away from cold market advertising to insider referrals to build your business. How many of you heard of the Good Old Boys Network? Of course you have. The whole point of that is that it's people that know people over time because they belong to, went to, whatever the case would be, and they do business with one another. If you weren't born to that circumstance, good news. You can use this method to make up for that and build a huge profitable business in the meantime. This is all about research. That topic is going to come back over and over and over. Always ask them if those current providers provide them business, because you are going to do that. And as you provide them business and their current provider does not, what do you think is going to happen to your status? If they are predisposed to referring and you're providing business to them, it's going to increase their referrals to you. Teach others to master the art of referring. There may be some that are inclined to refer but are not masterful in that area. What I suggest is that you make it easy for them to do so. You'll probably want to organize social events and invite people to attend and mix them up so they can meet one another. You want to be a facilitator of relationships. Discover a need not being served. That is one of the key elements in one of our other modules by Richard Branson. One of his entrepreneurial success patterns or strategies is to find a need that he discovered that's not being served and find a way to serve it. Write to the senior partner of a law firm. Would any of his attorneys like to be a speaker? Would he like to be a speaker on the subject about which they're an expert? You're flattering them and you're building your database of speakers either on topics on which you aren't an expert, or if you're not a speaker at all, you don't need to speak. You can facilitate relationships by providing what they need from other professionals. Business brokers, another great one. Business brokers meet lots of people, and who are they meeting? They're meeting people that are selling a business, so they're going to have a lot of money once they do, and they're meeting people that are buying a business, so they already have a lot of money. They're a great circle of influence if properly approached. Offer to promote their listings for them. That's going to endear them to you. As you grow your group out and put the word out through your group that there's a business for sale, they're going to find people for their listings and for their buyings that's going to endear you to them. Form an industry-specific club. That club deals with issues of the day, allows you to network through the club members of that organization, get into their providers, who it is they do business with, and deepen your relationship. So this is a multi-pronged approach of constantly looking for ways that you can organize a succinct, disciplined approach to the marketplace so that every day is dedicated to you building relationships. Mentor the members. I just became a member of a mentoring program in West Dallas, and of course they have, it's to help raise people up in an underprivileged community. And I listened to them talk about some of the resources they have. There is a national baseball player, I guess internationally known, probably makes a couple $100 million playing baseball, and he supports this organization, but they have never used his credential to help them raise funds for their organization. So that provides for me an opportunity to mentor this organization and their membership to help them raise more funds for a good cause. Just because someone is in an area that is charity related doesn't mean they know how to run a business. You can take your business expertise to charitable organizations and help them accomplish more of what they want. And who do you think might be donating their time to charitable organizations? Other successful people that have gotten to a point in their life when they feel that they need to give back, when they need to provide service, and you want to help them in that frame of mind and support them in doing so as you build your business. Subscribe to those trade journals or newsletters, because you're going to find those news stories that aren't widely published elsewhere about specific people in your market. You're going to want to use that intel to be ahead of your competitors. I would say the likelihood of you calling on one of these people and having anyone else in any business call on them using this method, not to mention someone in your business, is remote to none. Suggest that they offer a Top Achievers Award. So you contact this journal or this newsletter or this organization and you suggest that they offer a Top Achievers Award. Everybody or most people like recognition. So you make a suggestion, if they don't already have it, that they add a Top Achievers Award. Then you offer, since they probably already have plenty of work to do, to interview the winners of this Top Achievers Award. And you publish a profile in the trade association news about this winner or this achiever. Be recognized as an expert columnist in the group. Now what you've done is you've stepped in, helped them fulfill a need that wasn't being served, which is give accolades to their top achievers with putting no more work on the editor. You've interviewed this top achiever, sound like an opportunity to build a relationship, and you've published a profile in the newsletter, so now you're a writer, a columnist that has another credential on your resume that you can share for showing your credibility. It just goes on and on. Timing is everything for opportunity. When awarded a new large contract, do you think that the recipient of that contract is in a great mood? And do you think that they would be receptive to somebody applauding them or patting them on the back? Do you think it would be cool if you had a bronze plaque made up and delivered it to them along with a reprint of the article about the award of their contract, laminated, something that they could hang on their wall? Do you think that they would think special of you? Of course they would. How many people do you think will do that? I defy you to find anyone else in any trade or any business do the same thing for that same person. Just after they're selling their business through that business broker or not, what are they going to have? Going to have money. What are they going to do with it? They're going to spend some of it. Or after their company goes public. Think they're going to be in a good frame of mind? You bet. Perfect opportunity to ask you what? How did you get so successful? How did you take your company public? How do you feel about that? All these are excuses to build relationships. So where's the money? Small to medium-sized business owners, target specialties within a profession. So don't just target doctors. Dig deeper. Dig to where the big money is. Anesthesiologist. Anesthesiology is one of the highest paid medical degrees in the field. Orthopedics, another high paid. Neurologist, radiologist, cardiologist. This is where the money is, not general practitioners. It also allows you to narrow down to their trade journals, because just journals for doctors are not going to be as specific to those you're after in this case, which are anesthesiologists. Do you imagine they have their own associations, their own trade organizations, their own newsletters? You bet they do. And you want to see who's in those. You want to see who's advertising in those. It's a constant, endless process of learning. Be excited about it. What we are discussing is a process that can transform your life in a short amount of time, that can take you from the earnings you have now to new economic heights, that can take you from a business that you've been in where you struggle for success to get by and take your business to the next level. It requires you to do things different than you've done before if you want a different result. What I'm suggesting to you is this is the single most powerful way that you can bring new clients into your business. We're not talking about whether your business is a good value, because if your business isn't a good value, all of this really matters less. Your business, we're assuming, is already well run and that you're providing a product or service that's worth having. The question is now, how do you get the right people to recognize that so that you can increase the number of sales you have and the size of sales you have? If you are a realtor or a mortgage person, how would you like doing an increased amount of business with anesthesiologists that are buying million-dollar houses and getting million-dollar mortgages? Can you imagine what that would mean to your business if you got $1 million deal per month? That's $12 million a year worth of business. You run your commission model on that. I'm not suggesting that it's the only business you could have. And I'm not suggesting you can dump all your clients that are of the smaller size now. But what I am suggesting is the right way to build a huge business is to constantly decide what your ideal client looks like. We have another module within Designing Success Strategies that will teach you specifically how to find out who your ideal client is and then which of these professions they might be in. But that goes beyond the scope of this particular module. Read those industry newsletters. Lots of information in there. And if you read them with the thought in mind that you're beginning to understand someone else, it will be of greater interest to you. There's lots of industries you can pursue. You don't have to spend all your time studying an industry that bores you. But I think you will find with most industries, as you dig into them, they're made up of people with problems that need solutions. As you understand those problems and start relating the solution to those problems to improving the quality of your life, I believe that it will energize and supercharge you. But start in those areas that interest you so that as you're getting this off the ground, you'll have more push and energy and drive to go from zero to getting this moving. And of course, it takes more energy to get a rocket off the ground than it does to get it to circle the earth once it's out of gravity and is in momentum. It takes work to build momentum, but it is worth it. Here's a top journal, Journal of Endocrinology. Who would ever think of reading that? Until I started thinking about marketing to affluent people and really how powerful this is and how intriguing it is, I would have never thought of reading that journal. But if you want to do business with endocrinologists, do you think it would be worthwhile subscribing to their journal and being part of their organizations? Absolutely. Find people featured in these publications. Call and congratulate them. Does that sound cornball? To call and congratulate them? I can tell you, because it does sound cornball, almost nobody is doing it. Maybe their families and friends, maybe other people in their profession. But I would bet you that if you are selling cars, there's nobody in that business that called and congratulated them, even though it seems obvious to do so. I want you to stand out from the crowd. I want you to start thinking what if. I want you to start changing your life today. Contact a business reporter for a local station. You know that local stations are always looking for news about what's going on in the community. Imagine, in fact, I know a guy that is a publicist. He used to work for one of the stations and has gone off into private practice. And his practice charges a fee to businesses to get them publicity so that they get recognized in their community. And he charges several $1,000s a month for that service. Well, because he's always providing stories about local people that are successful in their area, Every day he gets calls from the newspaper and the magazines and the television stations asking who it is that he knows that they could interview. And on the occasion that that doesn't happen, when he calls, they take his call because they're always hungry looking for good stories. Well, he provides that for him, and you can do the same thing. You can be a publicist for other people. So if you read the Journal of Endocrinology and you want to serve that niche market, and you see that Dr. Bob just received an award for something that he did, think how cool it would be after you congratulated him to call the local newspaper, the local Dallas Morning News here, or D Magazine here in our market, or whatever is in your market, wherever you're listening to this, and get an article published about them, or a story done on television or radio. When I did a lot of advertising on the local television and radio stations, the newscasters would come out and interview me on mortgage banking topics that would then be on the news. And that was a very cool thing for me. Well, you can help people get that recognition and get into the news, and the station reporters and writers will thank you for that. Build relationships with these stations. As you build relationships with these providers, it makes it easy for you to get a reputation with them as a provider of great stories. And you can use that as your lever to make other people look good. Do you think anybody they're doing business with has ever done this with them? I can tell you the answer to that is absolutely not. It's not happening. You will be the exclusive doing that particular thing. The footnote that just came up, let the writer at the publisher take credit. This is a very clever thing to do. If you're bringing these people that are tasked by their station with getting articles written, and you let the writer take credit for that article, even though you did the work and delivered it to them completed, either you wrote it yourself or jobbed it out, they're going to be extremely grateful and even more receptive to you providing stories to them. They're going to be more likely to take your stories and help you out because you're helping them out. You want to find out as you're interviewing people, what are their goals? This is a powerful one. What are they trying to accomplish? Many of them are going to want to be acquiring new and or better clients affordably. I talked to a lot of people. In fact, I met with a friend of mine that owns a very high-end automobile repair shop just outside of one of the wealthy suburbs to Dallas here, University Park. And he works on Ferraris and Bentleys and all sorts of exotic cars. And his dilemma was he's got a great reputation and he's got a great client base, but how can he cost effectively build out his client base and get more to come in? Interestingly enough, he and I were discussing this same method of getting business, and we put together a program called Texas Workplace Rewards, where we're going to hire someone to call on local businesses and offer them a free employee benefits program. And in that employee benefits program that's free to them and free to the employer, we're going to have him be as a premier provider of repair services. I think we decided we'd focus on BMW and Mercedes. That's where he wants to do the bulk of his business. And we even got down to what that looks like. We decided that cars from 3 outside of warranty to 10 years old. After 10 years old, people decide to skimp on repairs, or maybe even ideally 3 to 8 years old. We already know what his client profile looks like from his past customers, largely men. Probably age 40 to 50 are the largest number of clients he's got. Of course, there's aberrations to this. But what the beauty of this is with some market intel, I was able to talk to my friend and come up with a business strategy to cut through the din and help him get clients. He spends thousands of dollars every single week on advertising, and a lot of it doesn't work. And many ads don't work. Many marketing campaigns fail because consumers are so inundated with ad campaigns that it's just like a blur of white noise. Think about you. How many emails do you delete, or billboards do you not read, or commercials do you flip by or ignore when they come on the radio or television? Most of them. So that's what's happening. So the increase in cost in order to reach a single customer has gone up, while the effectiveness of bringing that customer through, or that lead through, and turning them into a customer has gone down significantly across all channels: television, radio, direct mail, as well as even direct cold calling. Not what I'm talking about, Relationship building, my friends, is a powerful tool for you to change your life. Help them achieve their goals. Find out what's important to them. One brilliant marketer that was selling education plans, where you put aside money in a plan and get tax advantage treatment of that money so that their kids can go to college, found out that many of the clients that they had the money to fund those plans, but their kids were academically challenged. And so what in the world would they want to be setting up a college fund if the kid was never going to be good enough to go to college? Now let's imagine these people were wealthy enough to set up a college fund even if the kids weren't going to make it to college and deal with those consequences when they didn't. But let's think beyond that. What has this provider done? They've shown that they are concerned about their client or potential client's needs and desires. And they help them fulfill those needs and desires by putting them in touch with specialists that can help their underachieving students do better. So you want to be perceived as the solution provider, the person that thinks and digs and helps people accomplish what they are and solve their problems. Help them solve those problems. You can hire a PR ghostwriter within your trade area to help you get stuff published. People that are good at getting stuff published can be your allies. One of the other stories in a book that I read gave indication of somebody that was reading a trade journal or a newspaper, I guess, and they saw a large number of references to a particular college in the area, and it seemed like that college was getting mentioned all the time. And you would think that these news people, of course, are out hunting down all the stories and giving everyone equal representation. Well, that's not true. They're just like us. And what was happening is there was this person at that particular university that was reaching out to this newspaper and giving them articles that they could publish about this school to help them fill their task. So this person, this salesperson in financial services, tracked down the writer at the university, made a deal with them to write articles for them about people they wanted to publicize and paid them a fee for doing that, and it was a beautiful symbiotic relationship. Let your imagination run wild. Concern yourself not with those skills and talents that you lack, because you are the power broker, you are the idea person, you are the driving force behind making this work. Build a network from zero. I know that some people may think, well, I'm not born in that circle. Did I miss something here on this last one? Yeah, we got that one. So build a network from zero. This is important for those of you that haven't already done this. Pick your niche. We did that at the beginning of this course. Look first in your area for where the money is, and then dig down in that area to who you want to network with in that niche. Understand their needs. You can do that by reading their trade magazines. You can do that by interviewing them. I suggest that you do both. Find professions that best serve those needs. This is part of building that network. So you may find out, in fact, one of the groups that we're looking at building relationships with are surgeons. And with our early research with those surgeons for our mortgage banking and real estate business, we found out that one of their largest concerns is too much IRS taxes. So we felt that it would be worth our while to bring into our resources, into our circle of influence, top-notch, high-quality financial planners that understand surgeons. How did we get those planners? Pretty easy. It gave us an excuse to call surgeons and say, hey, we're looking for a top financial planner that really understands surgeons. Who do you use? And from that, we got the names of individuals that we could reach out to and say, Dr. So-and-so surgeon speaks highly of you, would like to talk to you more about your business and about what we can do working together to get you what? More of what you're looking for. And the networking goes on. The best CPAs, accountants, and tax attorneys. Estate planners, life insurance experts. Find out what they want. Find ways to provide it. These calls are so easy. When you're calling people because you want to give them something instead of because you want to take something from them, it changes the entire anatomy of the relationship. So you call in those professionals and you ask them the questions that we're talking about. And you ask them this: would it be okay if you recommended them to other wealthy prospects? Would it be okay? What do you think they're going to say? Of course. So build a speakers list. You want to have a list of people in your, the old days, Rolodex, or in your database that can speak to these wealthy business owners about what concerns them. You're going to find out about what concerns them by your research, and then you're going to have in your database people that can address those concerns. I recommend that you have a number of providers in each segment so that you can match the right provider of a specific professional service with someone that you think with whom they'd be the best match. You want to be a matchmaker of talent. Always looking for the top professionals in every field because you are the top. It's just that if you're starting from zero, not everyone knows you're the top. So I'm going to count on you to refine your skills and your craft so that you are the best in your field for providing your goods or services. And then what we're going to do with this course is we're going to help you reach the right professionals to raise the level of people with whom you're doing business economically, thereby transforming your life and the lives of others. You want to contact several people in each NIST to build out, as I said just a moment before, so that you know who the speakers are and you want to hear them speak. Don't send someone to a speaking engagement you haven't heard before. And then ask other places where they've spoken and call some of the people from where they spoke and ask how they were and build up a quality organization, a quality list over time. And be comfortable with asking for endorsements. If you provide enough value, you have the right to request endorsement. Those that will not endorse you are not people that you want in your networking program. Those people that do not refer, you can do business with them as needed, but those are not your core people. You want people with whom you can reciprocate because that's what this is all about. The whole point of community is to go deep and build value so you can get out of the market of strangers. When a client comes to me as a referral, it's an easy relationship to start because they come in trusting me. And when I get referrals from people that I like, do you know what's interesting? They send me people like them, and they're enjoyable to do business with. Can you imagine having a business where you spend the majority of your time doing business with people that you enjoy, that you value, that you would hang out with if you couldn't make a dime? That, my friends, is a life worth having. Here is an incredible resource. The Encyclopedia of Associations. Sounds pretty dry and boring, doesn't it? It's regional, state, and local organizations and associations unlimited reference, 25th edition. Pricing is going to vary on what you need. Here's the contact information for that. Here's an email address of who you can contact. I just looked this up recently. It may change by the time you see this, but the power of this resource is it can give you a huge list of associations that you can dig into and do the research that we're talking about. Send information to your target association. So once you've gone through this list, if that's the one you use, then you want to send information to whichever target associations you pick that are part of the niche that you're pursuing. Let them know that you have free, top-notch speakers available, and you've got those speakers through the method that we discussed. If you are a speaker and good at that, and your specialty will be of interest to this target niche, then of course offer yourself as one of those speakers. As we mentioned before, you want to go deep into subcategories, like not just doctors, but into surgeons and specialties within those categories. Those are the highest earners, and where you spend your time. What we're talking about here is spending your time not just finding people with money who you don't want to be with, but people with money who you enjoy that will patronize, that will be patrons of your business, and you can help them solve the problems that they want. You might think that surgeons have perfect lives and don't have problems, but I assure you it is not true. People that are successful in life have imbalances in their life, and they need referrals. I might also suggest that they may have personal problems in their life and may need referrals to specialists that can help them with those personal problems. Although that can be a touchy and sensitive issue, it can be something that's highly worthwhile for you to add to your network. Professional associations are a great place to spread the word. Medical associations, doctors, specialists, lawyers, CPAs, medical engineers. Make sure you go specific. The more narrowly you target, the better you will do. You will naturally network outside your specific target as you go because people in your specific target are supplied and serviced by people outside of that specialty. So you're going to end up going broad over time, but you want the focus and the growth of your business to be in an area of very narrow expertise. When I was first getting ready to launch Designing Success Strategies, I talked to a guy that had a master's in marketing, and I talked to him about my business and my plans to launch the Designing Success Strategies, and he helped me see that instead of being everything to everyone that's in business for themselves, I needed to narrow that down to a specialty and expand out from that. So that's how I found you and why we are having you in this course now. So you narrow down to a specific target profession, you speak to their desires, needs, drives, and goals, you become a provider of solutions to their problems, you get known in their circles of influence, and you build a business and escape from being lost in the crowd. Sales and marketing associations are powerful places for you to get business. Independent insurance agents, board of realtors, I'm a realtor myself, mortgage associations, I'm a mortgage guy for years, advertising agencies, public relations, all these are examples of niches you may wish to target either as your key niche or as supporting specialists for you to supply the needed talent to your organization or your group that you are serving. Credentials don't equal business. Degrees and product knowledge are not enough. Over the course of my 30 years of mortgage banking, real estate, and a number of other businesses, I can't tell you the number of people that I've seen that are having difficulty getting work or building their companies that have decided what they need is another certification or another degree or more product knowledge. And that is not the problem. The problem is that they have failed to market their business. This course that we're going through right now, I believe, is one of the most powerful, most effective ways to target and build over the course of 1 or 2 years a business that will transform your life. Going back to school to get another degree will not accomplish that for you. Going and getting more software product knowledge will not accomplish that for you. What I suggest to you is that you need to be competent in your business. But if you are not marketing, it won't matter how competent you are, you won't have business. Every business starts with a sale. Even a surgeon doesn't have anyone to operate on unless somehow someone sold that person on the idea of surgery. Here's something fascinating. Many top earning attorneys did not graduate from the top law schools or even in the top of their class. In fact, maybe the bottom third or quarter. They reach out with marketing. That's the reason. You might have heard me mention in some of the other modules. They changed the federal laws during the time that I was running my loss mitigation business as a primary earning for me, where you could no longer receive retainers for people whom you were going to get mortgage modifications. They were behind on their payments and having problems. And when they passed this law, they said if you weren't an attorney, you couldn't get any advance fees. You could only get paid once you were successful. Well, imagine a business model where you work a year on solving someone's financial problem who's having difficulty with money, and then you're successful and then you ask them to pay you for your work. Not a good model. They may be sorry they can't pay you, but they're probably not going to. But because attorneys could collect that retainer, I ran an ad in the green sheets for attorneys. I offered to pay $15 an hour for piecework, and in 48 hours, 48 hours, I had 100 resumes from people that had graduated from law schools willing to work for $15 an hour. What I'm suggesting to you is knowledge and having a Juris Doctorate in law is like having a PhD and they still can't find work. Or the number of people I found with masters and PhDs that were losing their house because they couldn't find work was startling and shocking. So marketing is the heartbeat. I would suggest to you that someone that is average at what they do, average and good enough to solve a problem, but is not good at marketing is going to be struggling in business. Marketing builds business. That's just the facts. Competency retains it. And your ability, really, competency is even more. I remember my loan officers saying to me back in the days where I had about 60 people working for me at a mortgage company that they couldn't understand why their client was mad at them because they had worked so hard at providing them service. And what I would say to them is I said, I think you're missing the point. The client is not judging you by how hard you worked, but by their perception of the result they're receiving. And what I noticed the most skilled loan officers were doing, they still had the same problems that many of the other loan officers were having, but they were very skilled politicians. They were able to take an upset customer and walk them through an acknowledgement that they appreciate them being upset, not tell them they shouldn't be, not make excuses for what happened, but to embrace that problem, let them vent it, and then walk through it, and then find a solution. So communication is powerful. Marketing is communication. Retaining customers not only takes skill and talent in your trade or area of expertise, but it also requires high levels of communication. Here's some takeaways for you. Select highly skilled professions. Patiently research your choices. Call your targets and ask them to refer you to who they use. So when you're calling them up, instead of saying, can I sell you something, you're going to want to find out from them who they use for a particular solution to a problem. And all the other things that we talked about here you can use to build relationships. Pick the quality skilled professionals. How do you find out if someone's quality and skilled? Well, if you call enough people that are being served by accountants, you will find numbers of names coming up more than one time, and then you can call that accountant and get additional referral or references from them and call. This is about building relationships and every excuse that you can use to go deep with people. With the network you desire, go deep. Focus on giving first. The essence of what we're talking about here is to give first without expecting anything back. Those that don't give back over time, you're likely to replace them with those that do because there's only so many hours in the day. The idea is to continue to build the wealth of your organization because of the equity that you've built in relationships. You can start from zero. You can start from zero today. I have helped so many people build careers that they weren't in until they met me, starting from zero. I certainly encourage you who are not at zero in your business to take what we're talking about in these modules and apply it to your business to get it to the next level of success. Book appointments in advance. Here's why this is so cool. So let's say you don't have some top wealthy people in your organization, but you've done your research and you have, based on that research, procured appointments over a period of a week or two in advance. And now when you're talking with somebody and you're looking to build a referral networking business and they ask you who you're doing business with in that class, you can be honest with them and say, well, I don't have anyone in that class at this time or limited people, but here's the appointments that I have booked and I would love to talk about you with them if that's okay with you. Share those with those you meet. Offer to endorse prospects in these appointments. Only after, of course, what? That you've researched these prospects and make sure they're people you want in your organization. Success leaves clues, my friends. And if you research, you'll find out that reputations precede people. If people have bad reputations, you'll find that out pretty quickly. Some rich people have bad reputations and some broke people do, and everyone in between. You want to do business with high quality people with high integrity with great reputations. have a long-term view. This is a transition. This is an actual changing of the entire future of your business starting today, starting right now, one step at a time. Imagine when you started your business, whenever that was, some number of years ago, and look where you are now. And now you're taking this course because you're ready to take your business to the next level. You can take it to the next level with this right knowledge, with the right strategy and the right tactics being executed consistently and adjusted over time, just like you built your business. But now you're going to take it to the next level of success. Focus on key influencers. It takes just as much time to focus on somebody that has no influence as it does with somebody that does. Does it take more work on your part to get the attention of a key influencer? Well, of course it does. But all the things that we've talked about in this module are the very things that you needed to know, the very things you needed to put in place to allow you to get the attention of the right influencers and build those relationships. You have to keep in touch. You can't, I see oftentimes people will start something like this and they'll make the first contacts and then they'll never follow up. They'll never send notes. They'll never send letters. They'll never send an email. I'm not suggesting you berate these people, but as you dig in and find out things about them, you know who their children are. You maybe find out that one of the kids is into ballet, and you find something about ballet or ballet instructors or kids in ballet, and you just send them a quick clipping that you took out or a quick email about ballet for children or something that's important to them. So you build depth in your relationship by keeping in touch over meaningful things. Mail, notes, phone calls, lunch. You can entertain key members. Invite them out to dinner. You're going to go out to dinner anyway. And get people together at a networking dinner. Not called that, but maybe get a certain accountant, a certain CPA, a certain attorney, maybe a publicist, all people that are in your group and your influence, and a surgeon, and go out to dinner together and discuss some topic that's going to be of interest to all of you that you can predetermine by what you know about these people. Let your imagination run wild. This can be fun. It can be fun to grow your business. It can be fun to leave stress behind. It can be fun to transform the profile of client that you're spending time with. You can do it, and you can do it starting today. I ask you this. Are you going to let your business continue like it's always been, or are you going to take it to the next level? Get multiple providers of each service, build relationships with them, go into their providers and network through their providers. It's endless. Refer only those capable of delivering top solutions so it'll make you look good. Enhance the reputation of group members by telling others about them, by getting articles published about them, by sending them plaques, by sending them letters, by having articles written. There's countless ways that you can enhance the reputation of others within your group as well as outside of the group. Help fundraisers learn how to network. Fundraising is something that's desperately needed, particularly with the cutback in government fundings that we're experiencing today. And fundraisers are always on the lookout for ways to raise money, but aren't always good networkers. Like that organization that I told you about in West Dallas. I think they could use some help in being more effective fundraisers. So it's my goal to bring some effective fundraising skills to their organization. Am I the master of fundraising? No, but I can network out to those that are and help them put their skills into the growth of this organization. It's a wonderful way to build a great life. Never, never stop bringing in new members to your networking organization. Always be bringing in fresh blood to take the place of those people that are retiring or moving away, or sometimes just drop out for whatever reason. An organization needs to be refreshed constantly. Here's a bonus idea. I alluded to it very early in this module. Business people often need some very similar things. Small local businesses need local banks with whom to do business. They often have difficulty getting credit. Look for new providers coming into the area, new banks that are opening up, new credit providers, because most businesses need credit connections to build their business. Find self-employed specialists. One of the ways that I started my mortgage banking career was that nobody liked working with self-employed. Because when you look at their tax returns, they're confusing, and they might say they make $200,000 a year, But by the time you look at their tax return, they really make $20,000 a year. So I started my business in mortgage banking some 30 years ago by specializing in self-employed and helping them get loans. Self-employed need help. You want to deal with the decision makers directly at these institutions. So if you want to, and in fact what we're putting together now are some new banking connections here in our local market so that as we call on these doctors and CPAs and various people in various trades, that we can help them factor their receivables, that we can help them get interim loans, that we can help them get all sorts of loans to run their business. But we don't want to just run them into any old bank and have them get low quality service. We want them to be in touch with the decision maker at these small banks, have the decision maker want to serve us because we bring them business expecting nothing in return except for other referrals over time, and deepen those relationships. I would say that for every 5 deals that you give out to somebody, it would be nice to expect to get 1 back, or better. Commercial lines of credit, equipment financing, construction to perm, accounts receivable financing, bridge loans, swing loans, unsecured lines of credit, all these things are important to business owners. Which of them will depend on the business and what they're trying to accomplish. But there is huge opportunity. I have made millions of dollars in the mortgage brokerage business helping people acquire loans to buy property. But business owners need more than just loans to buy houses. They need all these things listed on the screen and more. So I suggest that you, if you don't want to do this yourself, get someone in your group that does. It's a powerful way to provide solutions for businesses with whom you want to do business. This is David McElroy for Designing Success Strategies, thanking you so much for your time. If you'd like additional information about other modules that we have or would like a private consultation, please feel free to contact us. You can see my address on the screen, and my email address is dmcelroy at incomealternatives.org. Send me an email, and I would be glad to talk with you about what you're trying to accomplish and see what I can do to help you do that. We thank you so very much for your time. We look forward to you continuing through these modules. We welcome your feedback and are looking forward to helping you develop and grow your business. This is Dave McElroy for Income Alternatives, wishing you all the success.